Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 11 of FTB Infinity Evolved. Last episode we were working on a little bit of Thaumcraft. We did some research over here in our research table, unlocked a few more aspects, and at the very end of last episode made ourselves the Witcher's Oven from Witchery. And what we're going to work on in today's episode is getting a little bit further down the magic tree, doing some more Witchery, and hopefully by the end of today's episode we will have ourselves our Bullard Altar, so the next episode we can come back and start to get a little bit deeper into the magic tree and do some blood magic. But before we get started on any of this stuff, I have done quite a few things since the end of last episode. First things first, I've extended the platform out, as you can probably tell, over in this direction, and I've also set up some space for our sheep and our pigs over here, so we can start breeding those and getting some more wool and I guess pork chops if you want to later on down the line. I also set up this monstrosity over here, which I am aware does not look fantastic, but then again, to be fair, neither does some of the rest of the stuff on our island so far. But basically this is going to be used as a super early game mob farm, and is basically here for the sole purpose of getting some ender pearls, because everything else that this drops is kind of useless. We don't really need gunpowder from creepers because we already get it from sifting sand. We don't really need the skeleton bones or the bone meal because we're already getting that from sifting dust, and for now we don't really need all that much rotten flesh either, so killing zombies isn't all too useful. But one thing that we do need a lot of is ender pearls, and right now we have no way of automatically getting those, so we kind of have to have a little spawner like this. Make sure if you're going to set one up that you make it at least 3 tall, because endermen are 3 blocks tall and therefore won't spawn if you only make it 2 tall, although you will get creepers, skeletons, and zombies. And so since the end of last episode I've spent a bit of time killing some mobs in here. We did get 1 or 2 endermen, but not all too many. I've got 2 ender pearls, a couple of bones, some leather caps, quite a bit of rotten flesh, and some zombie brains from Thaumcraft as well. Another thing that I did since the end of last episode is I added a bunch more upgrades to our storage drawers over here. You'll see now most of them have kind of this green border around them, and that's because after last episode where we set these up, people told me that I didn't have to go in order for all of the upgrades. So if you look at Jabba, for example, Jabba is a mod that adds barrels which work in a somewhat similar way to the storage drawers, and with the Jabba mod you have to go through each upgrade periodically. Like, you have to go in order. You have to start with the storage upgrade 1, go to 3, go to 9, go to 27, I believe, but with the storage drawers you don't have to do that, and so you can just pick any of the upgrades you like. For example, the Emerald upgrade, which is the highest tier upgrade, and put those into as many drawers as you like, which is exactly what I did. The Emerald upgrades are actually super easy for us to make because, of course, it requires exactly the same materials as all of the rest of the upgrades, apart from the fact that the corner items are emeralds, and because of our gravel sifting system, we have a ton of emeralds that we're not really using for anything else. And so what I did is I made a bunch of these upgrades and put them in almost all of these storage drawers over here, and what I'll probably do between this episode and next episode is put them in all the rest of them as well. I also added one more upgrade to this guy over here. You'll see this one has like a little bar at the bottom, and that is the status upgrade Mark II, and that just shows us the fill level of the draw. So right now we can see that it's probably about a third, maybe just under a third full, maybe a quarter full on iron here. It can hold up to 18 stacks of iron in total. There was also kind of a mixed bag of comments telling me whether or not the upgrades stacked. I can confirm in this mod pack at least that they do stack. For example, if we look at the gold draw here, this one just has an emerald upgrade in, and if you look at Whaler at the top there, it says stack limit 416 in brackets times 13. If we look at the iron draw over here, this one has an emerald upgrade, a gold upgrade, and an iron upgrade in there, and you'll see at the top it says stack limit 576 bracket times 18. So the upgrades do stack, and I did test it between episodes. What you can do is you can add multiple of the same upgrade into a storage drawer. For example, if we find one that is not full, for example, we can take the emerald upgrade out of this one, and we can actually put more than one emerald upgrade into the iron drawer over here, and you can see now, if you look at the top again, the stack limit is 992, and we can have up to 31 stacks of iron in there. And so what I think I might do eventually is probably have this thing pretty much filled up. I have every single one of these storage drawers pretty much filled up with emerald upgrades, and then possibly a status upgrade as well, just so that we have a nice idea of where everything is in terms of its fullness level. The status upgrade isn't 100% useful on all of these. For example, right now we only have 30 refined iron in this drawer that has an emerald upgrade in it, and so if I was to put this status upgrade into that storage drawer, it doesn't really give us all too much information because the bar is so small, because it can hold so many. You can see right there, that does not really give me any information whatsoever, but hopefully further down the line, as we get more and more of every single item, being able to see how full all those storage drawers are might give us a good indication of when we need to make more of them and stuff like that. It's a possibility. I haven't quite decided on what configuration I'm going to use for all of these drawers yet, but that is one thing that I've done since the end of last episode. I feel like I rambled on about that for far too long. And finally, the last thing that I did is make 4 more of these steam dynamos over here for a total of 8 in our system now, producing 640 redstone flux per tick. I was quite surprised. The steam boiler seems to be keeping up just fantastically at outputting steam to all of these steam dynamos, and I also upgraded one of them over here with an augment, the secondary transmission coil augment, which now allows it to produce up to 160 redstone flux per tick. For those who are unfamiliar with augments, they basically allow you to upgrade machines and dynamos from thermodynamics, and this one over here, the secondary transmission coil, doubles the amount of energy any dynamo can produce, but also doubles the amount of fuel that it can consume, and also has a negative 15 base fuel energy. But what we can do now is we can put those into all of these upgrades and effectively double the amount of dynamos that we have without doubling the amount of dynamos that we have, or double the power output without doubling the amount of dynamos. So with that upgrade, it means that we can produce about 720 redstone flux per tick when all of these are running at maximum power. Right now they're not, because we're not using anywhere near 720 redstone flux per tick with all of these machines over here. Speaking of which, these machines are not coping too well with the backlog here. This thing over here keeps getting full very quickly. We do need to set up an automated system that takes the ingots out of here and puts them into our storage drawers. And there is also a bit of an issue with aluminium and yellorium. Aluminium and yellorium do not pulverize up, and so they kind of back this system up a little bit where they get stuck in the hopper. I occasionally have to take these out and stick them into my chest over here. We have like a chest full of aluminium, and look at this. We've got a bunch of yellorium and a bunch of different aluminium, some Tinker's Construct. So let me just quickly throw all those in there. Hopefully that will unbacklog the system a little bit. We'll see if that works. I'm going to just let those items despawn. But that is all the stuff that I have done since the end of last episode. Today, we are going to start working on a little bit of witchery, and we're going to start by working towards getting ourselves some Mutandis. So the way that we get Mutandis, this item over here, is by putting an egg, an exhale of the horned one, and a Mandrake Root into a witch's cauldron with some water, and that will give us back a Mutandis. Now, all of the items on here, the only one that's particularly hard to get, or particularly time-consuming to get, is the exhale of the horned one, and the way that we get that is by putting some oakwood saplings and some kind of fuel alongside some clay jars into the witch's oven, and then that will burn through, and every time it burns up, you're guaranteed 1 wood ash per 1 wooden sapling, and there is a chance that the clay jar will be used up and will give you an exhale of the horned one. So, the first thing that we're going to do, I think, is actually get myself some clay, because I don't think that we have any right now. I'm pretty sure we used it all fairly recently. We got 3, but I'm fairly certain we need at least 5 to make ourselves a clay jar. It might be 4. Yeah, we need at least 4, which is a real pain, which means we're 1 shy. And a little while later, now that we have ourselves some clay, we can take that clay, craft it up in here into a clay jar. We can then smelt those soft clay jars into normal clay jars over here in our redstone furnace. And then all we need after that is to grab ourselves some kind of fuel. We'll use coal for now because we have quite a lot of the stuff, as well as some oak saplings. And we should be pretty much good to go to start cooking this up and trying to get ourselves some exhale of the horned one so that we can make ourselves some Mutandis later on down the line. So, in the witch's oven here, we want to make sure we have saplings on the top, the fuel on the bottom, and the clay jars in the middle there. Like I said before, you're not guaranteed exhale of the horned one every time, which is why I'm putting this at the beginning of the episode. We did get one straight away, which is very lucky, but if we wait till this one to finish, we probably won't get another one. We didn't, so that does show you that you don't get it every time. And so the reason that I set this up early was because I wanted to get one of these guaranteed by the time that we had ourselves some of the Mandrake Root. But speaking of which, the only other items on there that we don't have now is a Witch's Cauldron and the Mandrake Root. And if we look into the guidebook again, under the Witchery section here, you'll see that the first thing that it tells us to do is to break some grass, and there is a 0.82% chance that we will get ourselves some water artichoke seeds. And so, what we need to do is we need to come over here, grab ourselves some of our massive stack of bone meal. We have 3,946 bone meal in our system right now. Grab some of that, run over to one of our pens, and break a bit of tall grass and see if we can get ourselves some water artichoke seeds. And about 3 seconds later, we now have ourselves a 1 water artichoke seed. And basically, what we're going to do now is we're going to start working towards getting ourselves some anointing paste. And the reason why we're going to do that is because the way that you get a witch's cauldron is by making a normal Minecraft cauldron and right-clicking it with some anointing paste. And the way that we get anointing paste is by crafting up a Mandrake Root, a belladonna flower, a water artichoke globe, and an icy needle with some mystical cyan petals and a bottle of water. Most of those items are fairly easy. The mystical cyan petals we can get from botanical fertilizer. The bottle of water, super easy stuff. The only hard items are the 4 different items from Witchery, all of which have their own seed that you can use to grow them. For example, Mandrake Root can be obtained by growing Mandrake seeds. The Belladonna flower can be obtained from Belladonna seeds, etc., etc. Icy Needle is from Snowbell seeds, and then the Water Artichoke globe is from the Water Artichoke seeds. And again, if we look back at the guidebook, you will see that the way that we get all of these seeds is by crossbreeding and using some crop mutation from AgriCraft, and we start by combining up some normal wheat seeds with some Water Artichoke seeds for a chance of getting ourselves some Mandrake seeds. We can then mutate the Mandrake seeds with the Water Artichoke seeds. I'm not quite sure why, but these two are in the wrong way around. You have to do this bottom one first before you can do this middle one, because you then use the Mandrake seeds with the Water Artichoke seeds to get Belladonna seeds, and then you use the Belladonna seeds with the Mandrake seeds to get yourself some Snowbell seeds. So, as per usual, the first thing that we need to do is grab ourselves some crop sticks from AgriCraft. So, let's grab some wood, let's craft those up into sticks. I'm just going to go ahead and make a full stack of those because we're probably going to end up using them throughout the course of this series. We can then go ahead and hoe the ground here, here, and here. Now, one interesting thing about the Water Artichoke seeds is that they have to be grown on water. And typically the way that you do that is you just, instead of putting dirt down, you would put a water source block down and then plant the Water Artichoke seeds onto that water source block. Unfortunately, you can't put AgriCraft crop sticks onto a water source block, and so what you have to do is right-click on some farmland again with a hoe, and it will become this water pad, at which point all we need to do is grab ourselves a bottle of water. I made another unlimited water source over here because I had to get rid of the one that we had over here for the steam dynamos, and if we go ahead and stick this down into the water pad like so, we can then plant our Water Artichoke seeds if we put down some crop sticks like that. And then on the other side, all we need to do is quickly grab ourselves some wheat seeds from our chest over here like so, and then the same as before, all we need to do is make sure both of these are fully grown, which you can do by shift right clicking with fertilizer or bone meal. And then finally, if we put a double set of crop sticks in the middle like that, and then shift right click with some bone meal, we get ourselves a mutated crop. This one is not the one that we wanted, so we can go ahead and break this one and try again. We might have to try multiple times before we actually get the seed that we're after, but it actually didn't take all that long. That got us the Mandrake seed. Now all we need to do is replace this wheat seed over here with the Mandrake seed like so. And again, we do the exact same thing. We put a double crop in the middle, make sure the Mandrake seed is fully grown, shift right click with bone meal, and we got ourselves under the Mandrake seed. Again, not necessarily guaranteed you're going to actually breed the crops, but eventually you get the seed that you're after, in this case, Belladonna seeds. And then for the final seed that we want, which is the Snowbell seed, all we need to do is combine the Mandrake seed with the Belladonna seed. So we have to get rid of this. I think we might be able to hoe it again. We can't. I wish we could, but apparently we can't. Also, we managed to lose that one. So let's quickly come back over here, grab one more piece of dirt, fill in the floor like so. Give it a bit of a hoe, stick down our Belladonna seeds like that, make sure they're fully grown, and just the same as we've done before, shift right click with bone meal, and we get ourselves some snowball seeds. Nice. So now all we need to do is we need to make sure that we have the correct item from each of these seeds. We've already got the Water Artichoke globe, we've already got the Mandrake Root, we've already got the Belladonna flower. The only thing that we're missing is the Icy Needle from the Snowbell seeds, and the reason we don't have that is because it's not a guaranteed output from the Snowbell seeds. You'll see sometimes we get snowballs, sometimes we get Icy Needles, so all we need to do is do this a few more times until we get ourselves an Icy Needle. Nice! So now all that we're missing is 2 cyan petals. We do have an enderman over here, so I'm just going to quickly kill this guy to try and increase the number of ender pearls we have. We did in fact get another ender pearl, so we can go and add that to our collection. I don't think that we currently have any kind of cyan flowers, and so what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go away, I'm going to make some more botanical fertilizer, I'm going to try and get some more cyan flowers, enough to get ourselves 4 cyan petals. I'll also craft them a bottle, fill it full of water, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that we have ourselves a bottle of water as well as the cyan flowers from Botania, all we need to do is come on over to our crafting station, craft up the mystical cyan flower into mystical cyan petals, and then if we do something like this, put the petals around the sides, put all of the items from Witchery in the corners like so, finishing up with the Icy Needle, finally put the bottle of water in the center, we get ourselves the Anointing Paste, and now all that we need is a vanilla Minecraft Cauldron. So if we do something like this, we can then take the Cauldron, and now what we need to do is actually find a place to put it. But before we put it down, again, if we look in the guidebook, you'll see that it asks us to make ourselves some netherrack, And the reason why it says that is because the way the Witch's Cauldron works is it requires a source of fire underneath it. And so what I'm going to do real quick before we put the Witch's Cauldron down is I'm going to grab some redstone over here and head back round to our stone barrels behind our sifting system so we can get ourselves some netherrack. We'll then make ourselves a flint and steel so that we can light that netherrack and find a place to actually put the Witch's Cauldron. Let's do that. Let's take the netherrack. For now, I think what we'll do is just put it down over here by all of the other magical mod stuff. We'll put it like right about there, stick you down like that. Flint and steel in this mod pack is made using actual flint and steel instead of iron, so let's take a refined iron. Let's grab ourselves a flint, craft those up like so. It's a shapeless recipe, so you can put those wherever you like, and once we've got that, we are pretty much good to go. So we'll light you over here. Let's grab quickly a few pieces of cobblestone so we can actually go ahead and start to stack this up. We have also, as always, overflowing on this stuff over here, but now that we have ourselves quite a few ender pearls, we could probably set up some kind of vacuum hopper, which we might do actually in just a second once we've finished with the witchery. But let's go ahead and grab our cauldron, stick it down like that, right click with the anointing paste, and boom, we get ourselves a Witch's Cauldron. Pretty cool stuff. Now, the way that this works is, like I said before, you have to fill it with water. It does require 3 buckets worth of water before it's actually 100% full. And not quite sure why it requires so much. It's not like water's particularly hard to get, but it requires 3 buckets worth of water in order to work. So, once we've got our third one of those, it should be pretty much full to the brim. And now what we need to do is throw in those 3 items that we need to make ourselves some Mutandis. Those 3 items being an egg, an exhale of the horned one, and a Mandrake Root. We have all 3 of those in our inventory right here, so we're going to start with the Mandrake Root like so, drop that in. You'll see the water goes purple, we'll drop in the exhale of the horned one, and then finally the egg. If you've dropped everything in right, you'll see these cool little particle effects coming out of the cauldron if you've got particles turned on, and after a few seconds, we get ourselves some Mutandis. Nice. And now what Mutandis does is it basically turns some plants into other plants. For example, if I right click on this dandelion over here, it becomes grass. If I right click on the grass, it becomes a birch sapling. If I right click on the birch sapling, it becomes a fern. If I right click on the fern, it becomes grass again. Grass becomes fern. Fern becomes alder sapling. And that did not do what I wanted it to do, because what we need is to get a rowan sapling. And so what we have to do is basically what I've just done over and over and over again until we get a rowan sapling, because we can then use a rowan sapling to make a whiff, I think a whiff of magic down here. Yeah, much like with the oak saplings in the witch's oven to get the exhale of the horned one, we can do the same thing with a rowan sapling in a witch's oven to get a whiff of magic, which is this item over here, and then we can use that whiff of magic in conjunction with a mana diamond and a bucket of lava to get an attuned stone, and then we can use that attuned stone to make our first blood altars. So let's quickly grab another, hopefully, exhale of the horned one from over here. Let's try making another set of Mutandis real quick. And there we go, on the very last piece of the second set of Mutandis, we got ourselves a rowan sapling, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to grab some bone meal and basically get as many of these rowan saplings as we possibly can. And much like with a normal tree, once we cut this down, we'll get more rowan saplings than we started with. So we do have fast leaf decay installed. Getting rid of all of these should pretty quickly give us quite a few of these rowan saplings. And the idea is that we're going to take those rowan saplings, as always, put them into the witch's oven over here, and try and get ourselves a whiff of magic. Again, much like with the exhale of the horned one, it's not guaranteed. And I also realize now that this is a terrible place to do tree farming, because all of our older saplings were getting used up by the endo flame to produce mana for the mana pool. And so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away, I'm going to make some more clay jars, I'm going to do a bit of rowan sapling farming to get as many of these as I can. I'll stick them all into the witch's oven over here, try and get myself a whiff of magic, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, after smelting 10 rowan saplings, we now have 3 whiffs of magic. So, let's take all of those. I'm going to throw some more oak saplings into here, because now, the next thing that we need to make is the Bullard Altar. So to make this, the recipe has changed a little bit since the last time I played Expert Mode on the non-Skyblock version. We now need 4 of these altar blocks from Witchery, and the way that we make these is by using 2 Exhale of the Horned One, 1 water bottle, 4 stone bricks, and 2 rowan wood. Thankfully, we have quite a bit of rowan wood. We also have a fair bit of stone as well. well. So going ahead and making myself some of these stone bricks is going to be fairly easy. Each craft gets us 2 of these altar blocks. We need 4 in total, which means we need 8 stone bricks, 4 of these rowan wood, 4 exhale of the horned one, and 2 water bottles. So let's go ahead and grab another 4 of those. We're almost... Oh, we've done it. We've got ourselves 4 exhale of the horned one now. All we need to do is come on over here, grab ourselves 2 bottles worth of water, and I'm pretty sure that's everything that we need to go ahead and do something like that. We might not be able to shift click into the Thaumcraft Arcane crafting table here. I'm not quite sure if you can shift click into here, but if we do something like this, it doesn't work because we don't need 2 exhale of the horned one. We need 1 exhale of the horned one as well as 1 breath of the goddess. And so what I'm going to have to do now, guys, I'm going to have to go away yet again. And way too long later, after spending way too much time over by my chicken pen waiting for my chicken to lay some eggs so that we could make some Mutandis, so that we could get ourselves a birch sapling. And then using a croak to get ourselves as many saplings as possible, we now have ourselves 2 breaths of the goddess. So if we come back over to our crafting station, we should be able to finish up making these 2 sets of altar blocks. And once we've got those, if we do something like this, all we need to do now is make ourselves a living rock slab, which is super easy to do with our 31 living rock, like so. And then the last things that we need are 2 mana steel ingots, as well as the attuned stone from earlier and the alchemical furnace. The alchemical furnace we've made before, it's just a normal crucible from Thaumcraft, a furnace, as well as some arcane stone blocks. So I did go ahead and start processing some iron plates. Those are now done. We can quickly craft those into yet another cauldron. We've made way too many cauldrons over the past few episodes here, but we can then go ahead and right click this. It becomes a crucible. We can then take those, and over here in our arcane work table, we should be fairly easily able to make a couple of these arcane stone blocks, like so. 8 should do for now. We'll take 8 of those. We'll bring the rest of the stuff back into our inventory, and then we should be able to make the alchemical furnace fairly easily. We are going to need a little bit of compressed cobblestone, but thankfully we have the stuff in spades just being spewed out all over the place over there. Flipping egg, we need to sort that out pretty quickly, but we can use that to make ourselves a few furnaces. We can then use those furnaces in conjunction with our crucible and some arcane stone to do something like this, and then we can go ahead and stick in our golden capped one, this one over here, that has enough V in it to make us the alchemical furnace. And then all that we're missing is the mana steel and the attuned stone. So let's grab 2 iron, see if we have enough mana in our mana pool to make 2 of these ingots. We totally do, and now hopefully we have enough mana in there to make 1 mana diamond, and if we do, we should be pretty much good to go. We 100% do, so we'll take that. We then require, I think it's a bucket of lava. Let's take a look real quick. Yep, a bucket of lava and the whiff of magic, all of which we have. So let's quickly grab one of you, run back over to the crafting station, do something like this, boom, boom, and boom, take our attuned stone and craft it up with everything else, and we should get ourselves a blood altar. Nice. And all we need to do now to actually get some use out of our blood altar, if we go back over to the guide here and look under blood magic, is make ourselves one of these, the Sacrificial Orb. And the way that we do that is by putting a mana pearl into a casting table, pouring some blood over it from the smeltery. If we look over here in NEI at the Sacrificial Dagger, we can see that we need 1,000 millibuckets worth of blood there in order to actually make this thing. So if we come on over to our chest, we can grab one of our 3 ender pearls, quickly throw that into our mana pool, get ourselves a mana pearl, and then if we come over to our smeltery over here, a few mobs have actually spawned on the top throughout the course of the series, and we actually have 2,230 millibuckets worth of blood already in the smeltery. And so if we put it to the bottom, we can then come around to our casting table, get rid of this, stick down our mana pearl, pour the blood over it, and we get ourselves the Sacrificial Orb. Nice! And this puts us in the perfect position to start working on some blood magic at the start of next episode. So, with that, guys, I'm going to end this episode of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Skyblock there. As always, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.